the word from the club tonight is that it won't be done this week. Nothing will be announced this week on the manager. So that then kicks it into next week. And I think it also ties in for the people I've spoken to, if it's going to be Ancelotti. I think Ancelotti's still on a kind of family holiday or family break at the moment after the La Liga season finishing, and he's basically on holiday until the end of the week. And I think even he expects something to happen next week. That might not be him getting the Rangers job. He might be going somewhere else. He might end up in Brazil. Who knows? But I think it's going to be the start of next week when things really start to ramp up. I don't think if you're a supporter, I wouldn't expect anything to happen before this weekend. That's certainly the word coming out for the club tonight.
See, before we move on from Rangers, see, just to go back, Keith, to the Deportivo stuff. Bluebell says Deportivo Skint, an Italian team coming up from Serie B in Pisa. Come on. I might be living in the past a little bit, right? But surely, if Rangers are in for you up against Deportivo and Pisa, surely to goodness you go to Rangers still.
It depends what your ambition looks like, Daniel, doesn't it? If listen, it depends what your character's like. It depends if you want to be closer to home, if you think you feel more at home in your own country or in Southern Europe, operating in places that you're familiar with, leagues that you're familiar with. Do you want to take on a behemoth like Rangers, where you're going to be under such intensity, and this is your first crack at being, stepping out on your own? Do you want to take that stride, take it on with the full force of the kind of public glare and all the pressure that comes with it, and the rivalry and the knowledge, by the way, that if you finish second in a 2-horse race, that's you'll probably do well to see out a full season in your first season as manager? Or do you take a more steady kind of career path and think, well, do you know what? I know if I go into this one, I know exactly all the changes I need to make, and I know the environment, I know what I'm working with, and I can turn this into a success, and I don't have to operate in that environment where anything less than a win every week is acceptable. It's not the same pressure, and it might give him time to grow into his own skin. I'm devil's advocate, right? Because I think you're right in terms of the club and stature and where you would want to be as a coach.
Aye.
I think the Rangers' job is the job, above these. But it just depends what's in his head and what his advisors are saying, what his dad's telling him to do. There's a whole lot that would need to. I don't think it's just as simple as that's the big club and they're playing in Europe and therefore that's the one.
That's fair.
I think you're right, Keith. But I think, see, although Ancelotti's never been a manager before and he's not been at a club before, I think he'll be very choosy about where he goes. I think with the Ancelotti name, the experience that he's got, I think this guy will only get into a job where he's convinced that the project, and I hate using that word, but the project is right for him. And listen, we don't know what vision has been sold to him by Rangers in terms of what this takeover is going to look like, what the next 3-4 years is going to look like. We discussed it the other night, is it a long-term thing where they realise there's so much has to be revamped at Rangers that it is going to take 2 or 3 years? No, he'll want to know, right, well, if that's the case, I need time to implement everything, implement my ideas.
Which is all well and good in theory, Scott, but you and I both know in practice it'll be different.
100%. And that's what I mean. If Rangers say to him, no, we need to hit the ground running next season. No, we need a title. We need Champions League football. And if it doesn't happen, no, we'll need to kind of reassess things. I don't know if that would appeal to somebody like Ancelotti get into his first job. I think it will need to be, as I say, although he's inexperienced as a manager, I think he'll get enough clout just because of who he is, because of where he's been, that he'll be able to. I don't think he'll just jump at the first club that comes calling.
I think that's fair. I take on board everything you both said. And just before we move on from Rangers, we've got Mark here who is saying, if I can find the comment, we get so many comments in these days, guys, that I keep losing them. He says, please be Gattuso just for the banter. Now, if that happened, I believe Celtic are obliged to just sack Brendan Rodgers and hire Roy Keane immediately. Just for the
Joe Jordan.
Joe Jordan was
Joe-
assistant.
That's a great shout, aye. That would be good. I guess time will tell.
But anyway, my takeaway from everything that we've just discussed there was Scott's briefing from Rangers this afternoon, which does make me very much believe you will have to look out for some Hotline Live specials next week. That seems to be the takeaway from that, Scott. Huh?
I would think so.
I think you're looking at the takeover is now within days of being completed and announced. And, you know, if the new manager, it ties in, I guess, maybe they wanted to present all in one nice, tidy package. But
Yeah.
I would guess next week might be there might be a busy few days of big appointments, big moves, big decisions.
It probably ties in as well, Keith, with Kevin Thelwell coming in. Because I think his official start date is the 1st of June.
That's right.
So you're right. I mean, everything might just come together next week. As you say, it could be a busy week. New sporting director, American takeover, and a new manager.